So today we're going to dive into a pretty fascinating social puzzle. The guy who seems completely unfazed by attention. You know the type. What's really going on behind that calm, cool exterior? Well, let's get into it.
Right? We've all seen this guy. He just doesn't seem to be playing the same social game as everybody else. He's not trying to impress anyone, and it's kind of captivating, isn't it? So what is actually happening there?
Yeah, we're talking about a true social enigma here. This person's behavior just seems to defy our usual expectations, and honestly, that's what makes figuring them out so interesting.
So what does this actually look like in the wild? Well, he's the person who doesn't chase. He's not out there trying to impress you or anyone else. He seems totally fine without anybody's approval. And here's the real kicker, that very indifference, it just makes him even more intriguing.
Okay, so when we see this kind of behavior, our brains, they tend to jump to a really simple, almost too easy conclusion.
The go-to assumption? He's just not interested at all. Maybe he doesn't care about women or, anyone for that matter. And it seems logical, right? I mean, his actions, or really his lack of action, they seem to point straight to indifference.
But is that really the whole story? Or is that simple assumption just masking a much deeper, way more complex psychological truth? As it turns out, yeah, there's a lot more going on under the hood. Psychology actually points to 4 key reasons for this behavior, and they have way less to do with not caring and everything to do with a really powerful inner focus.
And we're going to break down all 4. First up, we've got self-sufficiency. That's all about finding happiness from within. Then number 2 is emotional discipline, basically mastering your own reactions. Third, the huge impact of past experience. And finally, this really powerful idea called the abundance mindset. So let's start with that first one.
So reason number 1 is self-sufficiency. This is when a person's happiness isn't built on what other people think. Instead, their focus is all internal. It's on their own goals, their purpose, their work. I mean, think about it. When your own life already feels full, you naturally stop looking for someone else to complete it for you.
Okay, the second big reason is emotional discipline. Look, through life experience, some people just learn that overreacting, whether it's to attraction or to rejection, it just leads to bad decisions. So they actually train themselves to stay calm and regulated. And the key takeaway here is that what looks like he doesn't care is often just well-practiced emotional control.
Third, and this is a big one, we can't ignore past experience. Someone who's been hurt or disappointed before is naturally going to be more guarded. It's not that they've stopped caring, it's that they've become really, really selective about who gets their time and their emotional energy. It's a defense mechanism.
And that brings us to our 4th and final reason, which honestly might be the most powerful of them all. It all comes down to a fundamental shift in perspective, moving away from a scarcity mindset and into one of abundance. This slide just lays it out perfectly. On the one hand, you've got the scarcity mindset. This is the belief that opportunities are rare, which leads to chasing, to this urgent need for approval. But the abundance mindset, it's the complete opposite. It's this core belief that you have options, that you know your own value, and that it isn't tied to any one single person. And that completely removes that desperate need to prove yourself.
So here's where it gets really interesting. All of this leads to a fascinating psychological paradox. The very behavior that seems like it should push people away often does the exact opposite. So why on earth does this happen? Well, think about it. Not desperately seeking approval sends some incredibly powerful signals. It signals confidence, it suggests emotional stability, and it demonstrates self-respect. It all boils down to a core principle of attraction. People are often drawn to those who are emotionally independent. But, and this is a big but, we have to make a super critical distinction here. There is a huge difference between not seeking validation and genuinely not caring about other people. They are not the same thing. This table breaks it down perfectly. The person who doesn't seek validation is seen as confident and independent, right? Their motivation is that they value their own time and energy. So when they do care, it's intentional. Now, on the other side, someone who genuinely doesn't care just comes across as cold, disconnected, because they're emotionally unavailable. They just don't invest in other people. These are 2 completely different worlds.
So you see, when we start to put all these pieces together, our entire perspective on this whole behavior begins to shift pretty dramatically.
Ultimately,
I think it all comes down to this one core insight. Attention, attraction, and approval, they just mean so much more when they're given freely, not when they're desperately chased after.
So, the next time you meet someone who isn't falling all over themselves for attention, try not to just assume they're not interested. It might be the exact opposite, a sign of deep self-knowledge. It means they know who they are, they know what they want, and they're very deliberate about where they invest their energy.
And that really leaves us with one final thought to chew on. If the goal isn't constant approval from the outside world, then what is? Maybe it's something way more valuable. A clear sense of purpose, inner peace, or a truly authentic connection. Something to think about.
Small steps create real change. Join the journey. Thanks for watching this video.